Hello and welcome to OutSystems webinar about building a lifestyle guide. We have had great success with this approach and we want to share with you. My name is Daniel and I'm a front-end expert at OutSystems. I was involved in Silk UI development and in large UI implementations in corporate customers, and I'll be your host for today exploring the world of lifestyle guides. So, first of all, why a webinar about a lifestyle guide? Over the last couple of years, we have been building lifestyle guides for our customers, and we have cases where they say development speed increased by 300%. Not only that, but communication between teams improved. They now have the shared language, and the lifestyle guide enables workers to focus in their field of expertise, such as a developer don't need to be worried about UI elements. Therefore, it makes all sense to us that we must share what we have learned in recent years. So, what are the topics for this webinar? First, what is a lifestyle guide? How was it born? Second, we'll share our own experience and recommendations and some best practice for building a lifestyle guide. And in the end, I will build a lifestyle guide using OutSystems platform in front of you, which is very comfortable. So, what is a lifestyle guide? In this chapter, we'll see first the origin of a style guide. Then we'll see the evolution from a style guide to a lifestyle guide, and in the end, how OutSystems could help. So, style guides started in the 90s. As marketing evolved, people realized the importance of consistent branding. It was a set of rules for communicating company branding and voice. As you can see in the example in the right, even big companies like NASA have their own style guides. The idea was to have a set of rules to standard the communication of the company. Any communication from the company, from an email to a document, should represent the voice and tone of that company. After that, style guide evolved to a document like a PDF with the visual language, also known as corporate identity manual. You probably have seen one of those with font rules like font family, font size, etc., iconography rules, corporate colors, and how to apply the company logo, how you should not apply that logo, and this brought to corporate identity, brand communication, and visual consistency. However, there were fixed documents that you need to follow. Being a PDF, it tends to be forgotten, and it was used in the first couple of applications and then lost. And they were very hard to maintain. So let me tell you a story about a company. In this company, each internal development team built their own applications with their own set of guidelines. Each pattern was being built by every team in its own way. Each team used its own libraries for interface development. Applications were not consistent, so they were bad for users, and they also had a high cost of maintenance, of course. So they asked themselves if there was a better way, and they built an internal framework with all common patterns and components for an easy maintenance and evolution, for consistency across the internal tools, and of course to reduce development costs. After that, they released in GitHub as an open source project, and it spread around the world. The company was Twitter and the framework was Bootstrap, and well, the rest is history. So actually, this is what a lifestyle guide is all about. It is all about consistency, to isolate components, to evolve them easily. It is, or it should be, a visual language and branding applied to the different UI patterns and elements. And it is a lot more effective than a style guide in a PDF, because you are actually helping developers. Not only you tell them how it should look, but you show them how it is built. So you have live examples of the components in a single spot instead of several, so they are easy to maintain, of course. And you have code snippets where the developer just need to copy, grab the code and use it wherever they need to use. However, with this, developer still needs to understand how it works and what he can change and what he cannot change. Even if you understand how it works, it is still very vulnerable to human error, because you still need to copy paste. So it's still not a perfect approach. Now that we saw what is a lifestyle guide and how it could help you in your project, I want to show BBC GEL. BBC GEL is a good example of a very well built lifestyle guide. In the home page they have blocks for patterns and components with the rules to follow inside, of course, and we'll take a look into the typography and the cards. So inside typography they have a description of the section with the updates and the contents. You can see the rules for typography and how to apply it. You also have a link for a real example when you can see those rules applied in that real example. So it is very useful and very practical for the developers. They also have patterns, in this case cards, and how this pattern should works, and the last time it was updated. So this is very important. So BBC GEL documents the visual language. It is a living document of code and it consolidates the front-end code. This is quite important. So as you know, we are all for anything that makes the developer's life easier. This lifestyle guides approach seemed a good idea, and we realized the platform could actually help us in taking a huge step forward in UI challenge. So we have weblogs, or just blocks in mobile platform TEM, and a block is an element where you can isolate UI and logic, make them highly usable. It is more or less HTML5 web components, but simpler and more powerful. This powerful element enables us to create Silk UI. If you want to know more about Silk UI, you have a deeper webinar about Silk in the link in the bottom of the slide. We also have a new version coming out for platform TEM, and with a lot of mobile UI magic, of course. So keep tuned. We'll probably be coming out with a webinar on the new Silk UI. But for our webinar, what you should know is that we have almost 100 patterns and 5 themes. So OutSystems Lifestyle Guide is provided as OutSystems model, and you can drag and drop patterns to the screen. Developers do not need to be worried about UI, just need to be concerned about the logic implementation and apply the desired theme for that application. They don't need to copy paste the code, just need to drag and drop, with this reducing the human error, of course. Code is contained in blocks and more easily to manage, but in OutSystems we are making the next step of a lifestyle guide, what someone's call a living style guide. Not only you have the visual aspects of the elements, but also a living architecture example on how should application models be related. It is a living part of architecture application. So the benefits, well, even lower skill set required for building applications with great UX, much easier to maintain since it is a reusable block of code. When you made a change here, it will apply everywhere, and customers say it is 300% more productive. So recommendations. Not that we saw what is a lifestyle guide and how OutSystems could help, I will share some guidelines for organization, architecture, theme, layout, and patterns. Based on our experience, there are a set of important rules to make the lifestyle guide a success. As in any organization, this is changed to people habits. So it needs to be managed. But first, clear ownership of the style guides by one team. Create a team with the developers with the best front-end skills and interests, and well, a lot of them don't care about UI, and you know that is true, so it's very important. Second, clear mandate within development group to use these style guides. Communicate clearly and directly the goals of the initiative to all development teams. Third, style guide team lives in the intersection of business, UX and development. It depends of the organization, of course, to which area they answer to. And finally, there needs to be an open channel between development teams and style guide team. Style guide team needs to perform handovers of new releases too. Development teams should involve the style guide team in their UI development. Style guide team should provide effective support to its internal customers, the development teams, and style guide team must communicate abundantly with the developer teams on release, bug fixes, roadmap, etc. So in terms of architecture, the base should be Silk UI to take advantage of the patterns and structure rules. On top of that should be your custom team with all custom rules and a team layout with your desired structure. You should build a starter app with the essentials for start a new application based on your team. You should start a new application based on template model, where you will document your rules and guidelines for that application, and showcase the patterns applied to this team. And you could and should use Lifestyle Guide website as a documentation meeting point. It is also very important. Your application should also be started based on the template model, of course, and well, both applications should reference the team. At last, you should have isolated patterns in space, and if you want to use them in other applications, it should be theme free. So the pattern it will be without any theme, so only with structure, and could be applied in any other project. So the theme. In the base, you should have pattern Silk UI CSS with the base rules, structure rules, pattern rules, useful classes, all of them. And after that, you have a theme by Dublin, Lisbon, Liverpool, Tokyo, etc. with all the pattern theme rules, theme useful classes. So it will be a customization style for the patterns of the Silk UI framework. It's all inside the Silk UI framework. So you could choose a theme template, a Dublin theme, Lisbon theme, Liverpool theme, or Tokyo theme. Theme template. You'll have the theme-based rules, theme structure rules, and it will extend the respective pattern CSS. The only exception, it is vanilla, is a brandless theme, so it will consume directly pattern Silk UI. So if you want to work on top of Dublin base, for example, for less resources, for avoid overriding rules and easy maintenance, we recommend that you should merge these two CSS into your custom theme. Since vanilla is a brandless theme, you could start work on top of that. So with this change, you also have a reusable corporate theme ready to be used in multiple applications. So in terms of layout, layout is a web block inside your theme, and this web block defines the structure of your HTML page. You'll have placeholders for your content and your data, and well, it's to be used as a layout base from your theme. You should create as many layouts as you need. You could have different pages with different HTML based structure. This layout also includes required files to layouts such as JavaScript. And for a proper use of SilkUI framework and to take advantage of REST responsive approach, you should keep the container with the class page, as you can see in the slide. For more information, please watch the webinar about Silk. So, last but not least, patterns. And what is a pattern? Well, a pattern is a reusable element. It solves most of common scenarios, provides good defaults. It's designed to speed up the development and to define a standard structure, and should be without business logic, so it could be applied anywhere, just with functional logic for proper working of that structure. Here we have some examples of patterns like a drop-down, section expandable, a tile. You can see some of those in any SilkUI preview of any SilkUI team, because it is actually a showcase of SilkUI patterns. The real important thing here is every piece of UI that you think it could be reusable in your project, you should think to promote that element to a pattern. With this, you'll take advantage of weblogs, as we saw previously. So let's take the example of a drop-down used in SilkUI Preview, the showcase of patterns. In the pattern, you only have the HTML structure without any style, so we have this HTML pattern structure applied to Dublin team. And this same structure applies also to SilkUI teams, because the HTML is exactly the same, but with 5 different styles on top of that. So not only applies to SilkUI teams, but also to custom teams, of course. So you could take advantage of this, and your pattern could be cross-application. You can use it in several applications inside your company, same structure with a different style. And this is a very powerful tool. So in this example, we have a corporative style with cross-institutional rules for that company. On top of that, we have 3 areas with more specific rules, since they are for 3 distinct areas of the company. So in the bottom, SilkUI, of course, and in the first level of the corporate styles, we are styling and painting all the SilkUI patterns that it's consumed by this corporate style. So of course you need to apply the theme of and the visual of that company, so they should have its own style to be different from the Silk and the other companies, of course. But in this case, imagine we also build some custom patterns for this company, so they need a more custom pattern for whatever they need to, and those patterns will be used in the third level with their own style, because there are 3 distinct areas in this company, so the patterns should be should have the same HTML structure. They could be quite similar, but with difference, of course. And in that case, we also imagine we build a more specific patterns for those specific areas and applications. So this is very powerful, and you need to be to take this in mind when you are trying to build a larger UI architecture in companies, because this is very powerful. So when you ask yourself if you need a pattern, you you have three choices here. If a Silk UI pattern fits your needs, just customize it, applying your style on it. If a Silk UI pattern don't fit your needs 100%, since Silk is an open source project, copy that Silk UI pattern into your patterns space and change whatever you need to change. If you can even use a Silk UI pattern as a base, if you can't, well, just build one from scratch. So, a recap. First, create a style guide team and give them the control. In architecture, build a template module and a patterns repository. Create your live style guides. In theme, merge CSS into custom CSS, and this should consume directly pattern Silk UI CSS. In layout, build as many layouts as make sense for your application. And finally, in patterns, build your own patterns without business logic so it could be applied anywhere. Now that we saw a lot of theory, let's put all this into practice. So I'm going to show you this website, this application, and is the Acme Style Guide. I'm going to build this application so you can actually see how it works. And this Acme Style Guide, it followed the standard base of our lifestyle application that we have been built in the last couple of years. So here we have the home page, and with a quick presentation and how it works. Here you can put wherever you want to make relevant and wherever it fit your needs at your company. For example, your last updates or news about your lifestyle guide. Then we have a styles page with some typography, systems, elements, rules, forms, colors, that kind of things. After that, you have a patterns area with a showcase of Silk UI patterns applied to custom theme, in this case to the Acme theme, and with all the areas, of course, and all the Silk UI patterns. Is quite similar with the Silk UI theme previews that you can see about Dublin, Liverpool, etc. Then we have the responsive page with some Silk documentation about server-side approach called REST, and you can extend this documentation for your own documentation, of course. After that, we have the sample pages, and here the reason of a sample page is it's to accelerate the development. So in this case, if your applications constantly use dashboards, why not to build a dashboard based structure like this one? So your development should start to work on this page with that dashboard already built, instead of start all over again. So that's the reason. And finally, we have the custom patterns showcase a page for that, for your custom patterns like the ones we saw previously, like the Silk ones. So let's go to the platform and start building this application. So step 1, you will need to download and install Silk UI framework and the Silk UI template that fits your needs. We already have done that, of course. The step 2 should be clone theme from selected Silk UI template. In this case, it is the Lisbon template. So you are going inside the Lisbon and open the Lisbon theme and clone. Okay, I'm going to close the other space, and now I'm going to rename it to Acme Team, in this case Acme Base, and layout Acme. Okay, so as you remember, we have been talking about merging the patterns Lisbon, in this case, with the Lisbon team, which is actually this one, because I already I changed the name right now, but it still is the Lisbon team, the CSS from Lisbon team. So you should merge these two, of course. I already have done that, and I have here the CSS from the Acme team, so I'm gonna copy and paste here. So this is the Acme team CSS based in Lisbon team. So now, as you can remember, this one should actually consume directly pattern Silk UI. So with this, you have to override less rules. You have less rules in overall, of course, and you have less imports also. So now we can publish. So we have our Acme team base created, and it will be in independent models. Okay. After that, I'm gonna create a new application, and this new application it will be based on Lisbon, of course. So I'm gonna close the Acme team, and this new application, the Acme team, it's here inside the independent models. My new application, it will be based on Lisbon. I'm gonna call Acme Lifestyle Guide. So Acme Lifestyle Guide, and I'm gonna choose my icon, saved, and it will be based on Lisbon. So now that we have our application Acme Style Guide, I'm going to move my theme to the Acme Lifestyle Guide. So I'm going to independent models. So now we are going to move the Acme theme into the Acme Lifestyle Guide application. So inside the Acme Lifestyle Guide application, we have the Acme theme, and the Acme Style Guide space that is open here, which is open here. So now, first thing, I will need to add the dependency of the theme we created previously, the Acme theme. So I'm gonna choose the Acme theme, okay. And now I will need to change all of the Lisbon reference to the Acme theme reference. So first I'm going to the Lisbon theme, and I will change for the Acme theme. So find usage and replace by the Acme theme. And I'll need to change also to this Acme base. So I'm going to the Lisbon theme base, find usage, footer, change it to the Acme base footer. I'll change the header, and I will need also to change the layout. So now I could remove the Lisbon dependency, and as you can see, it's all okay, it's valid. So now we have a perfect based on our team, in this case the Acme team. So I will make this as a template model. So now we're going to create our template as a starter app, as a fresh point and clean a clean app ready to start your applications, because we already have what we need, a home page. In this case, you can put here whatever you want for your application, and the dependency of the Acme team, it's already there. So now that we have this perfect base, we have three important rules to follow for a successful template. First, the name. We need to call it as template underscore something. In this case, I'll call it Acme. This is very important. You also need a description, a valid description, so I will put here template for building apps based on Acme team, and you will need a custom icon, so I'll change it for this one. So now that you change these three important rules, the name of the start by template underscore something, the description, and you upload your custom icon, you can publish and you have your template model with your team. So now after that, well, we can create application based on Acme team, based on this. So I'm going to start a new application, and this new application I will call it my app. Okay, my application based on Acme team. I don't want to add the image. I'm gonna save, and as you can see here, you have your Acme model, team model. So and as you can see, it is like a clone, not it's a smart clone made by the platform, and it's based on the Acme template. So it's very important that your Acme template, it's always updated to the last version. So I'm not going to publish, it's not relevant for now, but this app should be your application that you want to build. Okay, upload, going back again. So now we want to build our lifestyle guide application, our showcase of the patterns, the sample pages, custom patterns, etc. that we saw the Acme lifestyle guide application itself. So first thing, I already have here two spaces, one for patterns and another one for style guide, with the structure and that you saw previously, not with the style. I'm going to move to our Acme Lifestyle Guide application, both of them. OK, and now I will need to open the repository patterns and need to change the name. So here this one should be the space with your custom patterns, the ones that you need to build based or not in a SilkUI pattern. So you should put here with a flow with the patterns, and you can also add another flow if you need some files like JavaScript and that kind of thing. And as you can see, with no theme, so this is quite important. So every one of these patterns you can use it in the future in another application with a different style for the Acme patterns. In this case, it depends of the ownership and the architecture of your company, but sometimes imagine that this card left image it start to be needed in this structure and this pattern as it is in other application of this company. So the most common thing is to after that you remove this pattern from this space and put in another level, donor level, so it could be consumed by other teams. So in different levels you should have different patterns in space. So with this your living architecture could and should be quite agile, and you can change and promote or patterns to other teams also. So I'm going to publish the Acme patterns with all our custom patterns, and I'm going to also open the style guide space. So as you can see, they have the same structure but different style applied. So you are going to change that, of course. So first thing, inside this style guide already made with this structure, you will have something like this, because after this you could download the old Acme application from the Forge, and you can use it in your as your based starter app, like I'm doing with this. So you can actually you will have these pages and with the style, the SilkUI patterns, etc. So you could start on this, but for now what is important is I will need to add the dependence here for my team, of course, because now I'm dependent of the Lisbon team. So I'm going here to the Acme team. I already consuming Acme patterns, as you can see, and now you already know what we need to change here, right? So we need to change the Lisbon team, finally replaced by Acme team, and we also need to change these three weblocks. So the footer, we need to change the header, and we need to change the layout Lisbon. So now we can remove the Lisbon dependency, and it's all valid. So it is a good signal that it's everything okay. So now I'm going to change the name of my style guide for Acme style guide. So now I'm going to the homepage again, you can see, and we already have the style from the Acme, because now we have Acme style guide is consuming the Acme theme. So I'm going to publish. And we'll see the result of these changes. And as you can see, they are quite simple. There are a few steps. In this live presentation, sometimes it could appear that okay, it's hard, but well, it's quite simple. And in the future, you can use the video and you can follow the steps slowly, so it could be much easier. However, after the first time, it will be very easy. So publishing the Acme style guide. Okay, now I'm going to show you I need to change the name, of course. And as you can see, they are quite similar. So now we have our theme cloned by Lisbon, our Acme theme. We create a new application for the style guide, and after that this application with this perfect base, we use it and change its name to our template Acme, so it will be a starter app point for any other applications that we need in the future based on our custom theme. And we already built our lifestyle guide application, as you can see it right now. Now I'm going here to controls, and as you can see, we have here the stylization of our theme, etc. in the Silky patterns. However, I have a range slider here with the Lisbon CSS applied, and this is, for instance, imagine that you need a range slider for your application, and the first thing, as you can remember, you must ask yourself, it is okay, it's already a Silky pattern. In this case, yes, we have a range slider. This range slider, as it is, it fits your needs, your purpose. In this case, let's imagine that yes, the range slider from Silk, it fits my needs perfectly. However, I want this style. If no, what you need to do is you need to grab the style from the Silky and make the change that you needed to apply your own custom style. So I'm going again here to the platform, and I'm going to close the Acme style guide, and I'm going to open the Acme theme. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go into the pattern Silky and you need to find the pattern itself. So if it's here the range slider, and you have here the CSS for the range slider, you could grab all the CSS and pass to yourself and change it, or you can of course just change the rules that you need, which is more recommended. But for that you need front-end developer, of course, who knows he will know the less rules you need to change to apply your theme. So what I already have done here is I already have a space here for my custom the range slide CSS. So I'm just going to copy paste, and I have here a few rules applied by the developer, and I'm going to publish these rules from this pattern. So this is quite important. This is the as we saw previously, we have three choices here. We could customize the Silk UI pattern, or we could copy one, or we could create one by scratch. So right now I'm going to refresh this page, and since the style guide, the CSS is a front-end file, we don't need to republish all these pages. However, we should just to saw the changes applied inside the platform. But as you can see here, with that few changes, we already have an quite different range slider from the previously we saw here in this page. So this is your first option regarding to patterns. So if you need if Silk UI have a pattern and you need to change the style for your custom application, just grab the code or inspect here and change whatever you need, and then use it in your custom theme. So quite simple. So now imagine that you have you need a pattern, and you need a card, for example, and you know that Silk UI already have cards. So you need you do your search, etc., and after that you realize that the card background, it's almost the pattern that you need, but you need to change something. You need something slightly different from this pattern. Well, in that case, what we recommend to do is to copy the pattern that you need and open your patterns space and paste the pattern you grab from Silk. Paste here, and well, if you need to add something else like a placeholder, extra placeholder, you just can add it here. Or if you need to add an extra element to your structure, or if you need to remove something. So the point here is to, if you need to, if you need a Silk UI pattern, but that pattern don't really fit your needs at all, or not at all, but don't fit your needs in 100%, grab that pattern, because that pattern it's already a good starting point for what you need in terms of responsive and all that stuff, and start working on top of that pattern. And the third option is of course, if don't fit at all your needs, then you need to come here and to add here a web block and start working on this as your own pattern. So you need to build a pattern from scratch. Now we have our patterns space with our custom patterns. We have our theme, our style guide. We have everything we need for our application. However, imagine and if you can remember, we saw a little advanced architecture for bigger companies. So imagine that we have more than one application in this company. So imagine that we have this application, the red style guide, and this red application is quite similar to the Acme application because it belongs to the same company. So however, they have a few changes applied in the style. So as you can probably imagine, this is quite simple because the red style guide here, it is consuming the patterns. I need to go to the dependencies, just okay, to manage the Acme patterns dependency. So as you can see, it is the same space is consumed by the red style guide and the Acme style guide. They have the same patterns, the same structure of patterns, however with different styles applied, but as you can see, the structure is the same. So this is a very important point and one of the powerful and agile things that the platform can offer to your lifestyle guide. So we are done with the platform and going back to our presentation. So just a little recap, final recap. First, you need to download and install SilkUI framework and SilkUI template that fits your needs. Second step, clone theme from selected SilkUI template. Third step, create a new application for the style guide. Fourth step, create your template. And five and last step, build your live style guide application. And don't forget to merge the two CSS for better performance of your application. Well, you can download the Acme style guide from the Forge. You have the link here, and the design files made by our design team will be available in the next week at OutSystems Dribble account. You have the link here. If you want to use them as a base, feel free to go there and grab them. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this information might be useful for you to start building your own lifestyle guides. Thank you.